when you argue for your limitations, they're yours. And that's something Brad and I were just discussing, and you had some cool stuff to say. I had some cool things to say, if I could say so myself. But it's an interesting discussion. The whole idea of thinking about yourself and the things you're up against, your to-do lists, things like that. If you think about all the reasons why you can't get these things done, then those things are yours, and they're going to stop you from achieving your goals, whether it's on a daily basis, a week basis, or it could be for a goal you're working on that's going to take you the next 5 years. Brad, tell us about that coaching call you just got off of, because I think there was a really valuable lesson learned here.
Well, yeah, I do a lot of these videos shortly after a call or a coaching call that I have with a client, because I usually get a lesson out of it, and rather than repeat that lesson to every coaching client, I'd rather take the time to do these videos and put them up. And so one of the things that kind of struck me, Justin and I were just talking about this, is that the number of people that I talk to that do argue for their limitations, or they argue for their time constraints or whatever it might be. And today the example was, I was speaking with a coaching client who, very smart woman, she's motivated, she's got a good foundation in internet marketing. She kind of lacked focus, but one of her problems was that we prescribed a new business for her today, and I gave her a laundry list. I said, it's Friday morning, 10 o'clock. I want to book another Skype call with you next Friday at 10 o'clock, and here's your list of action items. And the list was fairly short, and she immediately started to say, well, I might have to contact you in between because I might not make it through and get it all done. And I put it into perspective for her, and I said, all the things I've prescribed to you to do over the next week, we can do in my office in less than an afternoon.
Yeah.
And it immediately kind of put her into perspective. And I don't want it to look like I'm trying to make this coaching client look bad. I'm guilty of this myself, and sometimes I like to self-realize these things so that I can kind of see how these things affect me too. And the way it affects me is this. I'm not a big fan of email, as you know, and I've been trying to reduce my email volume overall. And I go days without checking my email on purpose and for productivity reasons. And then sometimes when I have to come back to my email, I know that there's going to be a backlog there, and I always see it as a bigger mountain than it really is. And sometimes I'll say to myself, I need 2 hours to sit down and handle all this email. And so I'll put it off, and I'll put it off, and I'll put it off, and then find that, I got to do this email. And I'll sit down, and I use voice recognition, I use all the tools to make things go quickly. And in 15, 20 minutes, I've attacked what I thought was going to be 2 hours of work. So sometimes we give ourselves this idea of how hard things are going to be, and they're not really that hard.
And it's the way you're thinking about it. All of us have to-do lists. Our to-do list will never end as long as we're alive, but it's the way you're perceiving it in your mind, specifically the way you image yourself. So you can actually see this list in your head, and like you do with your email, if you see your email as this giant thing, looks like a skyscraper, and you're this little tiny mouse beside the skyscraper, which you can do because your imagination is endless, right? If you see it as this big list, then you may not get to it, and you keep delaying it, that it's going to become an even bigger mountain to climb, right? Whereas you can quickly in your head flip it around and see yourself as even stronger than any to-do list is going to come your way, and you just get to action. It's like you can put yourself into, like Tony Robbins, a state, right? But it's true. You can literally just flip the switch in your mind and just say, look, it's not a big deal. I'm going to get to work on it. And as soon as you get to work on it, the momentum will kick in. It's inevitable that's going to happen. But it's almost like that switch that prevents us from going into procrastination. So seeing your to-do list, seeing yourself as bigger than your to-do list and stronger than any to-do list that's going to stop you from achieving things.
The statement that Justin made before we filmed this video, which is still sticking in my head, is you've got to see yourself as bigger than your problems, not your problems as bigger than you. And whether they're problems or a to-do list or whatever it is, or just things you've been putting off, that phone call you've been putting off, whatever it is, see yourself as bigger than the problem and attack it.
I love it. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.